All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call our April regular Board of Education meeting to order. And I'll start with the resuscitation of our vision statement that every school will be a thriving school that prepares every student to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. Tonight, we start with the newly elected board members taking their oath of office. And our clerk, Board Member Vandermeulen, will swear first Board Member Castro in.
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Sabian Castro,
I, Savian Castro,
having been elected to the office of school board member
to have been elected to the office of school board member
for the Madison Metropolitan School District,
for the Madison Metropolitan School District,
swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of said office
discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
and with the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Maya Pearson, please come down.
Next, we'll have Maya Pearson.
Please raise your right hand. I, Maya Pearson,
I, Maya Pearson,
having been elected to the office of school board member
having been elected to the office of school board member
for the Madison Metropolitan School District,
for Madison Metropolitan School District,
affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
affirm that I will support the Constitution of the state
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of said office
discharge the duties of said office
to the best of your ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to both of you. All right, our first order of business tonight is to do the election of officers. We have 5 positions that we need to fill. That of president, vice president, treasurer, clerk, and secretary. And for the I'm going to have Vice President Pearson preside for the election of the president.
Thank you, Board Chair Nichols. Okay. It's right under your. Yep. Okay, let's start. Are there any nominations for the office of president? Ali?
I'd like to nominate Board Member Nichols.
Okay, Board Member Nichols is nominated. Any other nominations for president? Okay, hearing no further nominations, nominations for the office of president are closed, and the following people are nominated. Nichelle Nichols, please cast your vote.
Nichelle Nichols has been voted or elected president for the 24-25 school year.
All right, are there any nominations for the office of vice president? and I will make the nomination. I would like to nominate Maya Pearson. Do you accept?
I accept.
Are there any further nominations for the office of vice president? All right, hearing no further nominations, nominations for the office of vice president are closed and the following people are nominated. Maya Pearson, please cast your vote.
Maya Pearson has been elected vice president for the 24-25 school year.
Are there any nominations for the office of treasurer?
I nominate Board Member Ali Muldrow.
Do you accept?
I accept the nomination.
Are there any other nominations for the office of treasurer? Hearing no further nominations, nominations for the office of treasurer are closed and the following people are nominated. Ali Muldrow, please cast your vote.
Ali Muldrow has been elected president or treasurer for the 24-25 school year.
Are there any nominations for the office of clerk? Board Member Vandermeulen? All right. Board Member Vandermeulen has nominated herself. Ali Muldrow?
I'd like to nominate Board Member Laura Simpkin.
All right. Board Member Simkin, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
All right. Are there any other nominations for the office of clerk? Hearing no further nominations, nominations for the office of clerk are closed and the following people are nominated. Nikki Vandermeulen and Laura Simkin. Please cast your vote.
Laura Simpkin has been now elected clerk for the 24-25 school year.
All right, we have one more position to fill, and that is of secretary. We are not taking nominations from the floor on that. Instead, we have a motion. I move that the Board of Education appoint Natalie Rue to the position of Secretary of the Board of Education.
Second, Maya.
All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Oh, you're aye? Okay. I believe that passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, thank you all, board members, for that. We'll now go into a moment of remembrance. We'd like to ask for a moment of silence this evening for our district to recognize the passing of Abadou Sar, who would have been in 5th grade at Hawthorne Elementary School. Abdu is remembered as someone who loved music, had a beautiful smile, and brought joy to everyone who knew him. He made strong connections with both students and adults that learned alongside him at Hawthorne and Kennedy. Abdu's passing has taken a significant toll on so many students and staff in the Hawthorne community, and we remember them tonight. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence in honor of Abdu Sar. Thank you. We'll move into our public input. There were 5 written statements submitted for this meeting, 4 who were opposed to the 0.0% cost of living increase, and 1 in support of the Board of Education's graduation policy creating literacy reinforced pathways towards post-secondary success. At this point, I believe we have 1 speaker online, or no? Oh, the person that was registered online is actually here. Okay, so I believe we have 25 speakers registered tonight. So first up is Carla, Marchand, and Gabe. And if I mispronounce your name at any time, please feel free to correct me. And then following Carla will be Andrea Misarelli. And Carla and Gabe, as you come up to the podium, just as a friendly reminder, there's a 3-minute clock that will be up here. And on the podium, there's a little box that has a green light. When you see the light turn to yellow, it means there's about 30 seconds. And yeah, and if you go a little bit over your 3 minutes, I'll understand, and I'll just try to keep track so we don't go too far over. Thank you so much. And you can start.
Okay. Well, hi, I'm Carla, and this is my son Gabe, and he is a junior at West, and he has an IEP. Gabe has intellectual disability, autism, and ADHD. And since it's Autism Awareness Month, I thought it would be appropriate to come here and share Gabe's story tonight. As I'm sure you are all aware, there are over 4,000 students in MMSD with IEPs. There's a lot of kids with needs. As I'm also sure you know, that special education is one of the first places to get cuts in the budget each year. There's so much money that needs to be taken out of the budget, and special education is one of the first places to get it taken from. But now I want to tell you a little bit about Gabe's story this year and his year at West. Gabe's had an IEP since he was in kindergarten, and he's never had an issue getting a great education through MMSD. He's always had informative educators that have gone above and beyond to ensure that he's been well cared for and gave him the chance to learn. And he's always enjoyed going to school. That was until this year. The year that there just wasn't enough. Not enough case managers, not enough SEAs, and not enough teachers in general. The year started out great, or so we thought, until Gabe started failing a majority of his classes. This seemed odd for Gabe, especially since he had been on the honor roll the past 2 years. After doing a bit of digging, I quickly found out that Gabe was being allowed to stare at his Chromebook from the start of school till the end of school. I found this by finding 32 pages of him doing searches from the beginning to the end. When I approached his case manager, he had no idea what was going on. And why is that? Because he had a massive caseload. a pet caseload of kids that he was trying to take care of, classes that he was teaching at West, and then, classes he was teaching at another school at the same time. He's physically unable to do his job because of the amount of kids that he is required to take care of. And is it fair to him? No, it's not. When we came to do with Gabe's IEP, I brought along some of Gabe's homework. When we brought it forward to the vice principal as well as the people in the IEP, Gabe was able to show the teachers that not only was it the homework not his, but it was his SEAs. His SEAs doing the homework and turning it in for him because the SEA had 4 minutes to be with Gabe and then 4 minutes to be with the other 9 kids in the class. We are failing the kids at West right now because there is not enough money to pay the teachers and the staff there. On February 10th, I received a text from Gabe's case manager asking if he had a problem with incontinence, my 17-year-old son. I gave a plethora of reasons of why he might be wet. Was he sick? Did he get wet in culinary class? He assured me he'd check in on him and make sure. At 4 p.m. that day, he walked in and he said, "Mama, I had the squirties at school today. My son sat in diarrhea-soaked underpants for the entire day. I never heard back from him." That's because his case manager simply just did not have the time to get over there. When is special education going to become a priority? And when are we going to start putting more money into our schools to take care of the kids that are there right now? Kids like my son. I'm just here to be a voice for the kids and the parents that won't stand up. My kid is worth something, and so are the other kids that are there. Thanks for your time.
Next up is Andrea Miserelli, and then following Andrea will be Tracy Drill.
That's hard to follow up. All right. Hi, I'm Andrea Miserelli. I teach 8th grade at Wright Middle School. I'm a MMSD graduate, a Madison taxpayer, and a voter. After hearing the last operations meeting, I want to make it clear that school staff members vote in elections too. I stand before you today with a clear and urgent message. Our students deserve better, and it's time for action. School staff are the backbone of our education system, and we must ensure that they have the resources and support they need to excel in their roles. Last fall, we started our advocacy to make our schools in Madison the schools our students deserve. Our students deserve fully staffed schools with enough allocation to make our students successful socially, emotionally, and academically. Our current allocations fall short of what our students deserve. They deserve smaller class sizes and to have the board follow their own policy on class sizes. They deserve more student support staff to help them socially and emotionally. And when cuts are made, they should be made from non-school-based staff. To help retain and attract the best staff so all vacancies are filled, staff need autonomy over their planning time and fair pay guaranteed, not with conditions attached. Right now, MMSD has one budget with staff allocation, and that's if the referendum isn't passed. And then they have another budget with the same exact staff allocation if the referendum is passed. Is this okay with not giving our students the staffing they deserve and need and want? Why wouldn't the referendum passed budget include more support staff in our buildings, which our board says is a priority they voted on a few years ago, and smaller class sizes, making sure that every classroom actually follows your own class size policy. Let's get real. The only thing different in your two budgets is if the board is going to decide to pay their staff annual steps and lanes and some sort of cost of living adjustment. This doesn't even guarantee employees will get the full cost of living adjustment each year the referendum is asking for, or to fix the salary compression. After the pandemic, MMSD talked about making changes to our education system to best meet our students' needs, but everything since has been status quo. When our board starts to put our students' needs first, when will our board start to put our students' needs first when looking at staffing and allocations? This board has voted to increase non-union professional allocation from the 2021 school year to this current school year, increased by 27 full-time employment. This doesn't include the board's vote to increase district-wide administrators and principals in the past 5 to 10 years. However, the allocation of staff who work directly with the students continues to decrease year after year. These cuts show that the board doesn't value staffing members who are directly working with our students. Is this kids first? Sometimes the board and administration thinks just a few staff, and it's not everyone that represents this view. So this year we wanted to make it clear that we need to put student-centered allocation as the top priority and change your budget and allocations immediately. We are presenting to you tonight petitions signed by our school staff members about staffing our schools with student-centered allocations.
Andrea.
Sorry.
About 1 minute.
Yep, I'm sorry. They're all going to follow me right away. We're ready. I promise.
All part of the.
Yep,
Tracy?
yep.
And-
Tracy, all the next. We're good.
Okay,
I put in extra time. You can start it.
okay,
You can start it again.
all right,
I got about a sentence here.
thank you.
These petitions were signed by over 2,100 staff based at our school, staff members. According to Bob's presentation in the March operational work group, we have currently just under 2,600 school-based staff. This means we have over 80% of our school-based staff member signatures here tonight to show you that your current allocations and staffing are not adequate, and to urge the board to immediately take action now. At this time, we will present the petition school by school so that you can see this is a shared value by all of our school-based staff.
And families. I'll just read off the names and they will come up and put them on the stage. And I do want to say that although it's not on our petition, one of my Senate students collected over 300 signatures. She went in the community and collected 300 signatures because she loves her teachers. I think that should mean something to you. Anana. Slip it on the stage. Badger Rock. Capital. Cherokee. Oops, I forgot. Yeah, I'm not. Chavez. Crestwood. East. Albium. Emerson. Franklin. Gillespie. Gompers. Hamilton. Hawthorne. Henderson. Eagle. Kennedy. La Follette. Lakeview. Lapham. Leopold. Lincoln. Lowell. Memorial. Mendota. Midvale. Muir. Nuestro Mundo. O'Keefe. Olson. Orchard Ridge. Sandberg. Shank. Senate. Shabazz. Sherman. Shorewood. Southside. Spring Harbor. Stevens.
Carla,
Thoreau.
Carla,
Oh.
is that you?
That's me.
Okay, next
Yep.
speaker's up, 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thoreau. Chokey. Van Heist. West. White Horse. Right. I think that's it. Okay. And Randall, excuse me.
As members of the school board, you have the power to enact meaningful change and make a lasting impact on the lives of our students. I urge you to prioritize their needs now and take decisive action to create the schools Madison students truly deserve. Remember, it's cheaper to retain than to retrain, 4.12%.
Thank you. Our next speaker, is it Mika? Mika Oriodo? Sorry, and then after. Following will be Rachel Bird.
Good evening, school board. Good evening, everybody. My name is Mika Oriedo. I am a 7th grade math teacher at Senate Middle School. And avid. Not only am I a teacher at Senate Middle School, but I'm a proud Senate alumnus, Madison Metropolitan District alum, La Follette High School, class of '87. I'm here to speak to you about a common theme that I'm hearing: size. Size matters. Class size matters when in education. If you've ever been a teacher, you know it's easier to teach 20 than 25. You know it's easier to teach 25 than 30. This year, I have a class of 35. 3.5 weeks ago, due to some unforeseen circumstances, I was asked to teach 39 more students. Now, I am a math teacher, and I did the math. That's 37% more students that I'm teaching. I am not getting paid 37% more of my salary. This affects me as a teacher. It affects my wife, who's a teacher at Senate. It affects my daughter, who is a 7th grader at Senate Middle School. My son also has to hear me every night when I come home, and I cannot do the things with them that I want to do because I am working past my contract. As you know, there are a lot of needs in education. A lot of students bring a lot of things. I got into education to be about the student. I got into education to bond with young people. It is hard to bond. It is hard to have the relationship when you have 35 students in a class. It is hard to have a relationship when the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And I am finding it harder each and every day. And I've been at this for decades. If I'm having a hard time, obviously others would as well. So I'll leave you with this. Size matters. The class size matters. It also matters how you treat your employees. And 0% is not going to cut it if you want to keep the best and the brightest, of which we are. Thank you.
Next up is Rachel Bird and then Avery Wallace, please. Oh, hi, Rachel.
Hi. Hi, my name is Rachel Bird, and I'm a reading interventionist at Henderson Elementary. And I'm the parent of 2 MMSD students attending Shank and Whitehorse. I'm here tonight to advocate for student-centered staffing and fair compensation for school staff. Since returning to school in 2021, my children have consistently experienced class sizes which exceed the recommendations put forward in the MMSD board policy. My first grade student currently has 25 students in his class, and my sixth grade student currently has 31. In both these cases, it is up to the teacher to go to exceptional lengths to make things work. My first grader's teacher teaches 25 students in both Spanish and English, all while continuing to learn how to artfully implement a literacy curriculum that is not teacher or student friendly. At the same time, she has demonstrated care for my son's social emotional needs and taken time to create individual student goals and challenges for each child. Her effort and skill is extraordinary, but I am deeply disappointed that her efforts need to be doubled on a daily basis in order to compensate for a lack of student-centered staffing and appropriate class sizes. This is causing teachers to burn out. Our teachers spend countless hours past contract time, cutting into work and personal family life balance. These hard conditions are causing teachers to leave MMSD or teaching altogether. My sixth grader has been in a class of 29 to 31 students since fourth grade. He has autism, and the constant demand to process crowded, overstimulating, loud environments has been reflected in his attitude about school over the past 3 years. As a parent and educator, it has been heartbreaking to see my child's love of school and learning diminish as his learning environment has become increasingly overwhelming. He has a wonderful team of special and general educators who care for him and advocate for him. But once again, their effort needs to be extraordinary just to make things functional due to the lack of student-centered staffing choices by MMSD. MMSD historically over the past decade continues to cut resources, and right now our students need them more than ever. MMSD believes in students' holistic needs and learning. Start putting our taxpayers' money and allocations in our community beliefs and values. And I have a whole part about my role at Henderson, but I'm going to skip that right now and just say this is not sustainable for educators and it is damaging to students. It is no surprise to me that as the DPI report from last Friday stated, 4 out of 10 Wisconsin educators leave the field within 6 years. Low pay and the demand to be superhuman just to barely make things work is too much to ask of any professional. Valuing employees needs to be non-negotiable in the MMSD budget, not something that is optional or tied to a referendum. Please reconsider and give a 4.12 COLA for the next school year and prioritize student-centered staffing and allocations in all MMSD schools. As Andrea Mizzarelli likes to say, it is cheaper to retain than to train. 4.12.
Hi, Avery Wallace, and then following Avery will be Marnie Marin, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Avery Wallace. I am an MMSD graduate, and I currently teach 8th grade dual language immersion at Cherokee Heights Middle School. The district states the optimum class size for middle school is 25. This is my 3rd year teaching at Cherokee Heights, and all 3 years my homeroom section has been above 25. My first year, we ended the school year at 31. My second year, 27, and currently my homeroom is at 30. There are 4 8th grade DLI sections at Cherokee Heights. Tomorrow, we will welcome another student to our program, officially putting all 4 sections at 30 students. A unique situation of DLI classrooms is our numbers tend to grow throughout the school year, in large part due to students immigrating to Madison from Spanish-speaking countries. By my count, since the beginning of this school year, 18 students have joined our 8th grade DLI program at Cherokee Heights. 18. Having an extra 5 to 6 students in class has a profound impact. The classroom environment becomes more difficult due to limited physical space, increased student needs, and often increased issues around student behavior. This district needs to form a plan to manage the increase in class size that occurs in DLI classrooms during the school year. Large class sizes make it more difficult to meet students' needs. Furthermore, it leads to greater teacher burnout. The pressure to raise student skills to grade level, manage classroom behavior, and provide timely feedback to students and families becomes overwhelming. By not formulating a plan to keep our classes at the optimal size year-round, and yet expecting the same outcomes for our students, you are wearing us out. When on top of that, you offer us a 0% COLA, which is effectively a pay cut, the effort we are putting in to make a tough situation work feels unnoticed and unappreciated. It is cheaper to retain than to retrain, 4.12%.
As Marnie is coming up, following Marnie is Michelle Ritt.
Good evening. My name is Marnie Myron, and I'm a proud MMSD graduate, current MMSD parent, and current MMSD employee. I'm here tonight to talk to you about staffing, specifically staffing our PE, music, art, and reach classes, more commonly known as specials. We know that building relationships is one of MMSD's core values, but in order to put that into practice, we need your help. Many specialists are split between multiple schools, which makes building these relationships with students, staff, and families very difficult. Moreover, each school has their own unique culture, systems, and schedules to which we need to adapt. As an elementary school art teacher split between two schools, here's what my Wednesday looks like. 7:15 arrive at school, 7:20 to 7:35 door duty. 7:45 to 8:45 teach fourth grade. 8:45 to 9:45 teach third grade. 9:55 to 10:55 teach fifth grade. 10:55 to 11:20 travel to my other school. 11:25 to 12:25 teach second grade. 12:25 to 1:25 teach first grade. 2 o'clock to 2:30, 1:30 to 2 o'clock teach kindergarten. 2 o'clock to 2:30, I finally get my 30-minute duty-free lunch. 2:35 to 2:40 door duty. 2:47 I depart. As you can see, I barely have time to use the restroom, let alone have any extra time with any students who may need it. We know specialized subjects are a place where some of our most challenging students thrive, and to stifle potential relationships because of the clock is a huge disservice to all of us. And I am not unique. This is the life of a specialized teacher. Lunch is scheduled at unreasonable hours, frantically traveling from one school to another, hoping no hiccups on the commute. Double or sometimes triple the classroom setup, cleanup, and prep. Our allocations are dictated by the number of sections we teach. As class sizes have increased and the number of sections have decreased, it forced specialized teachers to be split between multiple schools just to get a full-time contract. Class size matters. Allocations matter. MMSD needs to change how they allocate specials teachers so we can be in one building and build authentic relationships. We know that relationships dictate belonging, and that belonging dictates success. I'm asking you tonight to please reduce class sizes and increase allocations to help us better serve our students successfully. Finally, as it's been said many times tonight, it is cheaper to retain than to retrain. 4.12% is what we deserve and should be given. Thank you.
Michelle, and then following Michelle Ritt, we'll have Sandra Rivera, please.
They call me a unicorn. I'm a licensed special education teacher with over 30 years of experience. I'm also bilingual. I choose to work in a challenging school. I'm also a dinosaur who remembers the good old days. Life was way different before 2011. Act 10 was the beginning of the official systematic destruction of public education. Years ago, I went to school to teach kids. Today, it feels like I go to school ready for battle. The number of hats we all wear now is staggering. If we weren't all superheroes, there is no way that it could be done. My school has approximately 700 kids, which is a really big elementary school. Like many other schools in the district, we have job openings. No one applies for these openings. We don't have enough subs to fill in for staff who are sick. We don't have enough allocation to meet the needs of all of our students. Yet we show up day after day. We have to. They are our kids and we love them. We work our own jobs, we sub for our sick colleagues, and we cover for the unfilled positions. It's a lot. It's too much, actually. 700 kids and a part-time nurse with a part-time nursing assistant. Is this good enough? 700 kids and 2 social workers. Is this good enough? 700 kids and 1.5 psychologists. Is this good enough? 700 kids and Doyle allocates 0.5 reading interventionist. Is this good enough? 700 kids and Doyle allocates no BEA. Is this good enough? 700 kids and Doyle allocates no building-based sub. Is this good enough? As a special education teacher, I have students in 6 classrooms across 2 grade levels. Is this good enough? In order to meet IEP minutes, I have kids that reading levels range from non-readers to nearly grade level in the same group at the same time. Is this good enough? I'm the only bilingual special ed teacher in my building. My kids get services in both languages. No one else does. Is this good enough? Are we truly providing what our children need? Is this good enough? Clearly it's not. What do? We are the Red Shirt Brigade. We rise up together. We come together and we make demands. We demand better treatment for ourselves and for our students. We demand better for our community. What do you need to do? You need to listen. We are the experts in education. You need to support the people who love and teach the children. You need to give schools what we need to succeed. You need to realize that a cost of living adjustment is not a raise. Without the COLA, you are voting to cut our pay. There is so much work to do, but we can do amazing things together if we're both willing. Let's be done with not good enough. Let's do better. It's cheaper to retain than retrain. 4.12%. Solidarity.
Thank you, Sandra Rivera. And then Zandra Fayan, Fayan?
I'm Alexandra Fay, and I think I missed her title. Is Sandra here?
Is Sandra Rivera here? Okay, thank you. All right, yes, you're up next. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for your work on behalf of our community. My name is Alexandra Fayan. I have lived in Madison since 1991, and I've paid Madison property taxes since 1994. My children attended MMSD, and my grandchildren are currently MMSD students. I was hired as a school social worker in MMSD in December of 2001. I've been at Senate and Capitol High, and now I'm at Ezekiel Gillespie Middle School. I love my students, families, and colleagues. I have mentored countless new staff, and I have trained 17 graduate students over the years. I was also lovingly mentored by many when I began my career. I'm here tonight to talk about 2 related issues: student services salary compression and the cost of living adjustment. If I were hired today with 22 and a half years of experience, I would likely be placed at level DD or FF. I am currently at V like Victor, a $7,000 to $9,000 difference per year. I'm not sure how many years this salary compression issue has been affecting me, but as an example, if it had been affecting me for 7 years at the rate of $4,000 a year, it would amount to $28,000. That is around the same amount as my student loans, which I spent 19 years paying off. I'm assuming that the loss to me in reality is significantly more than $28,000. This is the same for many of us who've been in the district more than 15 years. This is incredibly demoralizing, so demoralizing, and it will significantly impact our pensions, TERP, and Social Security when we retire. I'm aware of someone who worked in our district a few years ago in a student services role, and when they found out that they were placed incorrectly on the pay schedule and complained, they received a check for $10,000 correcting their placement. And then they left the district after a year. Why was someone who was here for 1 year more deserving of a salary correction than the more experienced staff? And there are many of us. When anyone comes to a new building, when a new staff person comes to a building, it takes significant time, energy, and support from other staff to help that person learn their role and a new building. The more turnover we have in our schools and in our district, the more stress it causes our more experienced staff, not to mention our students and families. When we see the new people we have trained leave quickly, it makes us less likely to invest our time and energy in the next new staff, which in turn makes them less likely to stay. These positions require significant support. The semi-post-COVID landscape, as you all know, is presenting new and different challenges. Gillespie is getting a new school social worker next year, a 0.5 increase in allocation. Thank you. I'm so relieved to have this additional allocation. But all of our schools need that. Our children and families need us more now than ever. We are facing shortages at every single level. I believe the damages done to public education since Act 10 have been deep and significant, and COVID has made it so much worse. This is a time to be investing in retaining your staff. One way is through giving us the cost of living adjustment of 4.12%. Another is finding a way to resolve the salary compression issue quickly. It's cheaper to retain than retrain. 4.12%. Thank you for your time.
Next, we'll have Christina Mendiola, followed by Mike Jones. Those are speakers 13 and 14.
Good evening, members of the school board and fellow community members. My name is Christina Mendiola, and I stand before you tonight not only a 30-year resident of Madison, but also a former MMSD employee. I'm deeply invested in the success and well-being of our schools, and I'm a supporter of public education. It's no secret that our schools are the backbone of our community, and behind every successful school lies a dedicated team of educators and staff. Yet, as we gather here tonight, we're facing a critical issue that demands immediate attention: the retention of our invaluable staff members. We cannot ignore the alarming trend of talented teachers and staff leaving schools for various reasons, whether it be due to burnout, inadequate support, or better opportunities elsewhere. Each time a staff member leaves, it not only disrupts the continuity of education, but also impacts the morale of the entire school community. We owe it to students to provide them with stability and consistency in their learning environment. And that starts with ensuring we have a committed and motivated team of educators and staff. So I urge the school board to prioritize implementation of strategies aimed at retaining staff. Neighboring districts are adopting handbook changes that contribute to staff retention. Initiatives like offering general leave instead of differentiating between sick time and personal days allow staff to use time honestly as they need without feeling guilty about prioritizing their own needs or their own family's needs. They lighten the workload by having non-classroom teachers supervise recess. They work with staff to fix inequities in the salary schedules that the district created. They encourage wellness with longer lunch periods. They respect teacher autonomy and trust about curricular decisions. They give professionals choice over their professional development, recognizing that not one size fits all. They respect 1 hour planning for every day, and they hire full-time building subs to cover classrooms when necessary. The impacts of staff turnover at MMSD are significant. When I was working in the district, after 3 years, I was going to be the only returning staff member at my grade level. This was a tremendous load to carry as a young educator who should have been developing her practice through collaboration with seasoned staff. New staff say they need mentors in their buildings and on their teams to make this job sustainable. Investing in our staff is an investment in the future of our students and our community as a whole. Let's work together to create an environment where our educators and staff feel valued, supported, and empowered to continue making a difference in the lives of the children. It's cheaper to retain than retrain, 4.12%. Thank you.
Mike Jones, followed by Susan Spinelli.
All right, good evening. Last week, when we were in bargaining, the bargaining team and I were bringing up some of these points that you heard tonight, actually a lot of them, so I'm not going to repeat them. At one point, a member of the district bargaining team said, "We think you're speaking from a deficit mindset." Which, you know what? Listen, we're in bargaining. It was a good discussion. It was a better discussion that I'd been in previous bargaining sessions. And it's a fair thing to bring up. And obviously, over the last month, through my text messages and through individual communications, you know where I stand, and you know that's not going to change. But one of the things I wanted to use my 2 minutes for is, as we're talking about the referendum that theoretically does or does not exist, is this idea of we have to be responsible for the taxpayers. And we say that in a way that seems so divorced from the fact that you are right now in a room full of taxpayers. And so, in order to correct my deficit-minded thinking, I want to tell you about an amazing educator who's not here. And her name is her. This is what the district wrote about Mai. Mai is an English teacher at West High since 2010. She described it as a joy to see students tell their own stories as they connect with literature and express themselves through writing. Receiving this award, she won the Cole Fellowship Award, feels unreal. It absolutely humbles me. As teachers, we do not operate in a vacuum. Everything that I do is not possible without the help of those around me, her said. As I take risks inside and outside of the classroom, it feels great to have the support of many. Our English department, our admin team, our community and parents, and especially our amazing student body, they all inspire me every day. I think about Mai when we say, you're going to take a pay cut. More importantly, I think about Mai as she walks in my neighborhood with her husband, Sulu, who is also a West teacher, and their 2 young boys who are toddlers and are going to be future MMSD scholars, and their very adorable dog. They are my neighbors. More importantly, they are your neighbors. If I, between now and November, have to hear more discussions about taxpayers that dehumanizes and disregards the people who are also paying taxes in these red shirts, we are going to have more problems than what you are having now.
All right. Thank you. We're going to keep this moving. Susan Spinelli, is that you at the podium?
Yes.
Great. And then following Susan will be Jenny Doral.
Hi, my name is Susan Spinelli. I'm a third grade teacher at Gompers Elementary School. I began my teaching career in 1993. That's 30 years of getting up and arriving to school early. 30 years of staying late. 30 years of working at night and weekends to make sure I educate my children the way they deserve to be educated. Okay, I am here to talk about COLA. Early on in March, I believe it was March 5th, I voluntarily gave up part of my evening, this time to join in a Zoom meeting for MMSD to discuss our district needs in regard to facilities, staffing, and so forth, in order to best serve the needs of our students. We were presented with a lot of data points and then put into breakout rooms for further discussion. The main question that was put out in our breakout room was, how can we attract and retain qualified teachers? My answer is the same now as it was then. Treat all MMSD staff with the support and respect that we deserve. For we have all worked hard and we deserve nothing less. This means providing a COLA increase each year. Let me clarify for those who don't know. COLA means cost of living adjustment. It is not a pay raise. Receiving a COLA increase simply means that MMSD staff would be able to maintain their current socioeconomic standard of living as a lower to middle class professional. A pay raise would be more than a COLA increase. A pay raise would allow us to set aside money in our savings accounts rather than merely living paycheck to paycheck. Because of Act 10, we cannot bargain for a pay raise. We can only bargain for COLA. Ironically, the same day that I was in that district Zoom meeting, the district had other people meeting with our union. Imagine my disappointment when I left that meeting to instantly learn that MTI had asked for the 4.12% COLA increase and MMSD had countered with an offer of 0.0%. If MMSD truly wants to attract and retain qualified teachers, COLA should be an automatic given every year, not something that we have to bargain for. Too many district staff members rely on second and sometimes third jobs for additional sources of income, just to pay their bills and keep from falling into debt. As it already stands, too many teachers leave MMSD to go to other nearby school districts that pay higher salaries. Too many SEAs, secretaries, janitors, cooks, nurses, and so on leave MMSD to go to entirely different jobs that offer higher hourly wages, such as working at Culver's. Too many members of MMSD staff are feeling unsupported and disrespected by district administrators and members of the school board. I understand that the district needs to balance an ever-shrinking budget. We all do. However, doing so on the backs of the people who work in the schools, meeting the needs of our students every day is not the solution. Every year, our health insurance premiums go up. Our co-pays for office visits and prescription medications go up. With the district's offer of a 0.0% increase, you are actually offering district staff a pay cut. Every year, most teachers, myself included, spend hundreds of dollars out of our own pockets to provide materials that are needed in the classroom to meet the needs of our students. We pay for the books in our classroom libraries. We pay for consumable materials that are needed for our students to make hands-on projects that engage them and enhance their learning. We pay for snacks so that our students are not hungry and can better focus in class.
Susan,
I have just one paragraph left.
Okay.
I want one more minute.
Well, we have not-
We do all that we can, going above and beyond the call of duty to provide.
and
You gave other people time. I deserve no less.
I try.
We pay for so much and we ask for so little.
Susan,
All we want is respect,
Finish your thought.
support, and a COLA increase of 4.12%.
Okay. Respectfully, it's been going on like a minute and a half, going on.
Yes, and some had,
Oh,
there was one group that had 9 minutes. I have one thing
Well,
left to say.
that group actually.
I would like to invite members of the board to spend a week traveling to as many MMSD schools as you can. Spend a day in each school. Observe what the teachers, SEAs, secretaries, janitors, cooks, and others are doing with our students. See how hard we are all working together to help our students grow as learners and achieve success. In fact, try stepping into our jobs for a while and then come back with an offer of 4.12% COLA increase. Thank you.
Yeah, before you go, Jennifer, just as a reminder, public comment is 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes. And I try to be as understanding when sometimes those thoughts don't time up exactly to 3 minutes. And I try to be fair and start a little timer on my phone and go up to about an extra 30 seconds if somebody needs to close your compelling thought. But to go over and to actually refuse when the chair of the meeting is asking you to bring your thoughts to an end, that puts all the rest of the speakers waiting in queue for a very long time. So I'm going to ask the rest of our speakers to please try to stick to the 3 minutes. We want to be as attentive to what you're sharing, and we also want to be fair. Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Dorrell. I'm a proud alumna of the MMSD school system, Hoyt, Van Hise, and West. I work as a reading interventionist at Kennedy School, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've spoken before about how ongoing staffing challenges are affecting our ability to deliver effective, consistent, and equitable education to Madison's children and youth. In this extremely tight job market, not offering any cost of living increase at all seems kind of reckless and irresponsible. I don't think that MMSD will be able to hire effectively with candidates knowing their prospects for future pay increase won't even keep up with inflation. I've worked at Kennedy for 3 years, and we have never been fully staffed during that time. This year, we have gone for long periods of time without a school psychologist, vocal music teacher, and without multiple CC teachers. Right now, we have 2 CC teacher and 2 SEA positions open. Our vulnerable Kennedy students are experiencing a high level of turnover and unpredictability, making it challenging for some of them to find trusted school adults. I am told that in the past, Madison schools would never have staff vacancies and staff leaving schools mid-year, but now it seems to be the norm for us. When our mission is to nurture, support, and grow our next generation, it's difficult to overstate how much this turnover compromises that mission. We need a strong applicant pool, and a full 4.12 cost of living offer will help us hire the quality staff that we need. And we also need to retain the high quality staff that we currently have. According to DPI's Educator Preparation Program Report and Workforce Analysis, which was published this month, compensation and moving to another district are 2 of the most common reasons why teachers leave their positions. In the last year, we at Kennedy have lost our reach teacher, vocal music teacher, librarian, and at least 2 classroom teachers. We teachers choose the education field for the mission, not the financial rewards, but as allocations across the district have decreased and workloads and student needs increase, low pay can be that tipping point. Cost of living pay increases, that is 4.12% this year, help keep our best teachers in the district. Dr. Gothard last week spoke about people, purpose, and pride. and ensuring the best outcome for every student in our district. Our district worked so hard to hire and made a substantial monetary commitment to the absolute best superintendent we could find. We did that because we know that having high-quality staff in our district will lead to the best outcomes for our students. I urge you to make that same commitment to our teaching staff. Please reevaluate the current 24-25 budget and prioritize teacher compensation now in order to get great hires, retention of our best staff, and great outcomes for our precious MMS students. It's cheaper to retain than to train. 4.12%, please.
Thank you. Next up is Mandy Malloy, I believe it is, and then Carol Carlson.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be here. My name is Mandy Malloy, and I'm honored to be a school nurse at both Henderson and Lakeview. I'm a parent of 2 kids who attend both Senate and La Follette. I'm committed to our MMSD community, and I want to remain living in our MMSD community. I am back to advocate for both our schools, our students, and our staff. I, along with several nurses on March 18th, was here to ask you, to educate you, and to teach you what we do and what we need. And today I'm also here to ask for an increase in allocation and increase of the cost of living adjustment. I'm also probably more importantly here to let you know that I'm a parent. My kids, your kids, and our kids deserve better, deserve to have enough staff that step in that classroom and that can teach our children. They are highly qualified and we want to keep them. This is the first year that my son every day says, "Mom, I do not want to go to school." He is a middle schooler at Senate Middle School, and Senate is doing great work, and it is very, very hard for him. And as a parent, this is really crushing me. Again, our students deserve better, our staff deserve better, and we all want the same thing. We want thriving students, thriving staff, and a thriving community. So I ask you for an increase in allocation, an increase for a cost of living. And it's been said many times tonight, it is cheaper to retain than to retrain, the 4.12. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carol Carlson, and I am the co-founder and executive director of Madison not-for-profit Music Cambrio. A little bit different topic than what I've been hearing about tonight. I am here to advocate for the continuation of Music Cambrio's historic agreement with Emerson Elementary School to be able to offer our programming on-site rent-free. We have been at Emerson Elementary School since 2011, where we started at the invitation of then Principal Karen Kepler. And we have continuously provided very high quality, affordable, accessible music education on a sliding scale available to all students ever since that time. We are proud this year to have the latest in a long line of graduating seniors who have been with us since they were in 1st or 2nd grade. We have a petition going online that has so far garnered 230 signatures. And I just want to share a few of the comments on the petition. One is from MMSD parent Elizabeth Tucker. "My daughter started violin in this program and has played now for 7 years. It's a wonderful program that brings a needed and valuable enrichment to the Emerson community and beyond." Former Emerson custodian John Rummel writes, "I worked at Emerson School years ago and know how important community is to a school like this, a true neighborhood school. Music programs provide cohesion for hundreds of students and become important in a lifelong way. I'm happy to help." We also have former actually our graduating senior's father, Peter Rafferty, writes, "Accessible music education is important for our community. Please don't change the years-long arrangement with Emerson." Former parent Moira Kelly writes, "Music Cambrio taught my son how to play piano. It is an amazing program and I hope it can stay at Emerson." Former parent Amy Maurer writes, "Music Cambrio offers an invaluable service to students on the underserved East Side." Current parent Julia Chekvala writes, "I see the tremendous value this program brings to the Emerson community, and I don't want to lose it." Madison musician Scott Gendel writes, Music Cambrio is a hugely valuable program for our community and our city, and it would be a travesty to see it destroyed due to bureaucratic rules. And finally, Music Cambrio parent Rachel Punsack writes, Music Cambrio is an incredible program that benefited our kids, family, school, and community. Its affordable and accessible model allowed us to participate when we otherwise may not have been able. It built skills, confidence, and relationships that crucially continued into middle and high school. We are so grateful for this program and hope it can continue at Emerson for years to come. I'd like to offer you an easy win tonight during these very difficult sounding budget conversations. All we are asking for is the continuation of the relationship that we've had since 2011. We simply ask to be allowed to be on site at Emerson when the school is open, when MSCR is running, when the custodians are there. We are costing the district next to nothing to use these facilities, and in exchange, we have provided over 350 students with affordable, accessible, high-quality music education. I brought my friend Beth Kaiser, who's a former MMSD teacher, to finish out my remarks.
Thank you so much, Carol. And first of all, I want to start by saying thank you, teachers. As a former teacher of 37 years, I am so proud of you and I recognize all that you do. And Maya, I am also proud of you because I was your strings teacher and it was so exciting to me to see you running for the school board. I remember you in 6th and 7th and 8th grade and how much strings instruction meant to you. Less than 2% of the children in the Madison School District can afford private string instruction. And we know, I'm a school psychologist, I'm a music teacher of 30 plus years. I've been a consultant with the Families and Schools Together program. We know that's an AODA program. We know the evidence tells us that music education is essential to building community and reinforcing the healthy habits of children. If we eliminate a paid for program, we will be eliminating access to children in underserved communities to quality education that not only impacts their aesthetic and musical development, but their development and the essence of their beings in the community. It is not a frill. I see these music teachers who retire because they're seeing 200 plus students a day. That's what I did. 200 plus kids a day. How can they be expected to serve the children that Cambrio serves with teachers who have PhDs and master's degrees and who are dedicated and committed to the community? We see a huge difference because of the after-school programs. It costs nothing, literally nothing to keep Carol in the program. Thank you so much for hearing me and thank you for your service.
I do want to go back to a speaker that was supposed to be with us online and had decided to be here. Is Pernisha Clifton still here? Okay, Pernisha, I'm sorry. I meant to call you earlier, but so Pernisha Clifton. And then following Pernisha will be Bill Holloway.
Hello, I'm here to advocate for all three things on the docket today. I am the daughter of an educator, and I remember my dad coming home after school, grading papers and doing resources and taking away from his 3 children. And he said, I'm staying here and fighting for these kids so they don't have to stay here, so they can see the world outside of this. I know that these teachers fight every single day for these kids on a shoestring, and we are living in a city that doesn't even have like rent control or anything like that. I watched my rent go up $600 this year, and I can only imagine what our educators are experiencing. I can't even afford to live in a city like Madison because we are not simply recognizing the cost of living adjustment. So I pray that that is addressed. Then on the other hand, I would like to support Carol in this. I have worked with Carol and I have seen so many youth touched by her youth program. I watched a young girl lose her brother to suicide, but found herself in music. And as you all know, my program works in mental health and I refer kids out to music programs. The fact that Carol's program has been here since 2011 and offering affordable lessons to kids who look like me and giving them a chance to heal through music is important. I survey the kids that I work with in the mental health programs, and the number one thing that they say that they're missing in school is that they don't always feel seen and heard. And a lot of times these out-of-school programs offer that opportunity for them to be seen and heard. Because how can we see every student when our teachers are working with a 35-to-1 ratio? Our counselors are working with a 700-to-1 ratio, right? So at the end of the day, this conversation that we're having today is about the kids, and our kids deserve so much more.
All right, we'll have Bill Holloway come up. Following Bill will be CJ Rouse.
All right, thank you, members of the board, and certainly thanks to all the great teachers. I really appreciate all the work all of you guys do. This is a complicated, tough situation. And here I'm here to ask you guys to change the policy regarding internal transfers of current Madison teachers, so that they don't leave the classroom in the middle of the semester. My name is Bill Holloway. I'm a MMSD parent, and we received an email on December 6th saying that December 8th would be my first grader's teacher's last day in the classroom. So 2 days notice, and that's just 2 weeks before the winter break. When the substitute teacher came in, who did a great job, she was really scrambling when she first got there because she said there was a 2-week period where the assessments were supposed to be done of these first graders. And she came in halfway through that 2-week period. Nothing had been done by the outgoing teacher. So then we had a new sub who was scrambling, trying to assess these little first graders. Obviously not an ideal situation. It's hard for me to believe that you could get an accurate read on where all these kids are if you're a substitute walking into this classroom cold. And it seems to me that if the district can allow the new superintendent, Joe Gothard, the ability to finish his semester in St. Paul, which I think is great, you should allow teachers, especially teachers being hired by the district, to stay in their classroom until an appropriate point for them to leave. I mentioned this issue when I saw another parent at the Muir Elementary Science Fair a couple of weeks ago, and she said, "You mean the district poached its own teacher?" Yes, that's what's happened. And this doesn't cost anything to change. It's a little policy. It's not like you can never have someone go to a different position in the middle of the semester, but there should be a policy that this is not ideal. There's no reason to do it. And it's a shoddy way to treat the class, shoddy way to treat these little kids. This is the most important educator in their life. So I hope you will make this little change. There's no money attached to it. And I think it would demonstrate the care and respect that we should have for these kids. Thank you very much.
Are you CJ? Yeah. All right. You're up. And then following you, if you don't mind, will be Sarah Redford.
Hello and thank you. My name is CJ. I am an SEA over at LVM. Next year, I'll be their parent liaison. But before that, I'm a parent of 2 wonderful MMSD children right here beside me, a husband of a wonderful wife who has allowed us to be in this space as we both fight to afford Madison housing. And I'm a taxpayer here in the city of Madison and in MMSD's district. And I think the reason why I wanted to make that distinction is because when I was watching the operations meeting on Monday and we discussed the survey results regarding a possible referendum, I heard a comment in regards to the data and a desire to disregard the survey results that were from MMSD staff and even to extend that to MMSD family members. And I've been in your seat. I know what it's like to be an elected official who has to hear petitions and speeches from large groups, and it's easy to either categorize everybody into one or to disregard that. But each one of those voices that filled out that survey is a real person. We're all humans in this battle. And we are the ones that are the most passionate about what happens in this school district. I'm not passionate about MMSD because I'm an MMSD employee. I became an MMSD employee because I am passionate about not only my own children's school, but the success of the entire district, as that will be the pathway of my children as they grow. So I want you to look at the results of those surveys and not disregard those of our staff members or of our parents, because ultimately we will be your champions if we agree upon the goal of those referendums if they do get out there. And then I also wanted to tie it back to Milwaukee's referendum. Milwaukee's referendum was close. And I know we look at those as we look for our own referendums to pass, but they only passed by 1,720 votes. And we have petitions here, signatures from 2,100 staff members. That's more than the margin of victory of that referendum in Milwaukee. And that was with Milwaukee staff trying to encourage residents and voters to vote in favor. So as you have to make these decisions, consider us not only as what make this school run, but as your advocates for policies and referendums that you try to pass going forward. We can be one of your greatest tools in advocating, and we do want the same things that a lot of you want. We just need to reflect that in how we're passing budgets and how we're compensating employees and in proper staff sizes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Leanna, I think it's Ung, or, oh, I'm sorry, Sarah first. Sorry, Sarah. Then Leanna, I think it's Ung, or it could be Beng. I'm not sure. I'm so sorry on the pronunciation.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Sarah Redford. I have 2 students at Hamilton Middle School, and I'm here today to talk to you about a policy change I'd like to request related to school lunch. Recently, my daughter, she takes cold lunch for 2 primary reasons. The first one is that the nutritional value of hot lunches in MMSD is sad, so she does not take hot lunch for that reason. The second is she hardly has time to stand in line to get a hot lunch on the days she doesn't take cold because she has very limited time to actually eat in the middle of the school day, so she takes cold lunch. Usually she wants to get a milk. One day she went to get her milk and she had negative 30 cents in her balance. So she was told, embarrassingly in front of hundreds of students in the middle of lunch, that she could not have a milk. That was sad and pathetic. She came home very embarrassed. I thought, well, maybe somebody was just upset that day and decided you don't get a milk. I came to reach out to the vice principal at the school, and they told me that they are not allowed to give her a milk because of school policy, and that I should reach out to the food program policy person. So I did, and repeatedly sent follow-up emails asking for why my child could not simply be given a milk. I was told that because a milk is an a la carte item, if someone has negative 30 cents in their balance and a milk is 50 cents, they're not allowed to have it. They have to actually be charged $3.20 for a hot lunch, disregard the food they don't want just to get the milk, because the school will not be reimbursed for a la carte items. I find this ridiculous. Milk is a basic necessity for a child in the middle of the day. They need their nutritional needs to be met. And so I am asking for a change in this policy. When I asked the program policy coordinator how to initiate that, they said I needed to reach out to the Board of Education. I emailed Board Member Pearson twice and received no response. So I'm here today, spending some time in a really lit meeting, by the way. I'm glad I came the day I did, to ask for this simple change. I asked the program policy person if there was data about wasted food and wasted milk in the schools. He indicated that there was, but did not provide it to me. So really all I want is for my child's basic nutritional needs to be met in the middle of the school day. And I think that that is a totally reasonable expectation of a parent that pours many, many, many more dollars than they need to on every single school year. We send in snacks, we send in, we try to reach out to the teachers and ask, what do you need? We buy them extra supplies. We are engaged parents. To have my daughter embarrassed in front of a cafeteria full of students for 30 cents is outrageous, and it's prioritizing bureaucracy and funds over my child's nutrition. I also would like to spend the last 13 seconds saying I've seen at least 4 faces of phenomenal teachers that my kids have had at Franklin and Randall, and now currently at Hamilton, fighting for 4.12%. I fully support that. I think the funds need to go to food and teachers instead of administration. Thank you so much.
Leanna, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name. Just feel free to state it correctly when you start to speak. Thank you. And then after Leanna is Marcus Watts? Marquise? Okay.
Okay. Hi, my name is Leanna Ung. I am a junior studying legal studies and social welfare here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And here today, I'm here to present about our concerns about the school to prison pipeline within MMSD. Um, as you all do know, happens when there are highly disciplined or a lack of support around students who lead them to the criminal justice system as a youth or as an adult, and may lead them to drop out of school beforehand. And I will be focusing on the school to student relationships. So staff and students make up what a school is. This is necessary to create a working relationship that students can depend on. Along with teachers, it is important that students feel the school as a system that supports their needs and is on their side, who is advocating for them. They need to feel as if the school itself is advocating for them in everything they may be dealing with at the moment. The lack of support inside schools causes attendance percentages to decrease, and teachers and administrators create the school atmosphere. So if they do not have the support, if they do not have the support or the teachers don't have the resources to support students, students will not have the motivation or ability to succeed in schools, thus making them vulnerable to the school to prison pipeline. There are systemic issues that affect students within the MSD, such as class sizes being too large for students and limited access to advising appointments with social workers. Along with that, resources are often difficult to obtain. There are a lack of resources offered, and even if resources are offered, students feel they don't know where to find them or don't know how to access them. Especially students of lower socioeconomic status have a difficult time focusing in school if they don't see the point in education. We understand there are some initiatives going on right now MMSD is taking, such as getting rid of law enforcement in schools and working on and having strategic framework plans. However, moving forward, we'd like to see an increase in funding in schools to provide more support within schools, such as more support staff, groups, learning and individual groups to improve mental health issues and academics. Providing more school engagement activities that support trades and academic areas of school, and overall investment in students and the quality of education. As a district, we're asking that you hire more teachers who relate to students. And although there's already a focus on African American students in achievement, according to the equity report, there's still a lack of visual representation that students can relate to. This makes students feel as if they do not matter, and their confidence levels decrease and widens the cultural disconnection between faculty members and students. We're asking that teachers are also paid enough to also support the learning community in general. Thank you for your time. We hope that MMSD takes these actions into consideration as the youth's lives are in your hands. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marquise Watts. I am speaking on behalf of the University of Wisconsin-Madison students. I want to say thank you for giving us the time to speak with you all. As my classmate expressed through their time speaking, the trends we see within the school to prison pipeline, where at the same time we are targeting to change the system that is being designed for students. There needs to be more work done and implemented inside schools to help uplift and guide students on a route to success. During my time here today, I will be going through how one's community and at-home environment can play a detrimental role on the student's educational path. So first, I would like to explore home environments. How much do staff and teachers know about a student's home living? As my classmate Leanna talked about during her time speaking, teachers need to develop more of a connection with their students. With that connection built, we earn the comfort of students so that they will be open to either the struggles they face or be open to reaching out for more resources and solutions. This is not only brings more impact inside the classrooms, but it helps teachers with their jobs as well. When knowing more about students, you have a better idea on how to help them succeed. In Madison, school attendance rates vary across different neighborhoods, with some areas experience higher rates of absenteeism than others. By fostering meaningful connections with students, teachers can positively impact attendance rates by creating a supportive, engaging, and learning environment that encourages students to come to school. Moving forward to community environment. When it comes to dismantling the school to prison pipeline, we also have to look inside of the students' communities. Every student across the Madison School District comes from a diverse amount of neighborhoods. It is highly important to know where students are coming from and if they struggle with getting to school. Knowing more about communities students come from is what will help us identify resources that we can implement. I would like to move forward and take a step back because I watched the last school board meeting and I seen that you guys had an event for staff and teachers that was called a 30-day well-being quest. Looking into that, I just had a question on whether students are able to participate in that quest as well. If not, what mental health events / resources are available to students throughout their academic school years? We understand that solutions won't just fall out of the sky. However, we are here as students ourselves who want to help drive these solutions and find the right resources. So some resources my team and I have came up with could be community engagement activities where there's these type of meetings, events that we can host for communities so they can see how they can help better foster a good learning environment for our students. Also, frequent one-on-ones with students and teachers so that teachers are able to build these bonds and take note of the things that students are saying they need. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Kirby Mack, followed by Bonnie Augusta, I believe.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of Blacks for Political and Social Action of Dane County as its vice president. This year, one of BPSA's goals is to give Black and Brown students and families in the Madison Metropolitan School District a voice. This initiative stems from feedback received at last year's Community Summit, where parents and guardians of Black and Brown students expressed feeling unheard and unseen by the district. In February, BPSA addressed our platform FACE with F standing for financial. In March, members discussed A for academic. Today, I'm here to reiterate intended to inform you, the board, of our concerns as you continue to plan for financial. It's often said that budgets are human values with price tags. We ask that MMSD establish a yearly general fund budgetary line item for your goal 3 of strategic framework, which is for African-American children and youth to excel in school. We ask that it be more in line with the representation of Blacks and Brown students in the district student population, which is 18% versus the meager less than 1% designated as Black excellent funds. Academic. As you are aware, MMSD math and reading gaps in the forward exam are worse than the state's averages. We are asking that you make a 10% improvement in Black and Brown students moving up the level of reading proficiency on the forward exam, as well as making a 1-point improvement on Black students' average ACT composite scores. Communication. National research argues family-school connections can give an incredible boost to student achievement. As such, we ask that MMSD make a commitment to 1, participate in the annual summit for parents of Black and Brown children, and 2, we would like to meet quarterly with district officials. Speaking of communications, clear communications between BPSA and the district is crucial in keeping everyone informed and ensuring success events like the Black Parent Community Summit exists. This year and last year, we faced considerable challenges getting information through district channels, resulting in postponements and delays. Perhaps streamlining the approval process or establishing a dedicated point person for communications who has approval authority could be helpful. Last year, Superintendent Dr. Jenkins had to get involved. This year, we had to call the president of the school board, Ms. Nichols, thank you, Ms. Nichols, to resolve the matter. We certainly would like for the district to improve its management and handling of communications more efficiently moving forward. In closing, I thank you for your time. We look forward to working with you and Superintendent Joe Gothard which we believe is to be an exceptional hire. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Bonnie Augusta, and I worked as a teacher for 36 years. Oh, 35. I took a year off to be a mom, but so 35 years. And I was actually here originally to read something that a colleague of mine, A.B. Noble, wrote for me to read her. She wasn't able to attend. And partway through the evening, I left the room and gave her a call, and she gave me permission to throw her speech out. Because as I listened tonight, her words were important, but what was said here tonight needs to be reiterated. I pay my property taxes in person every single year since I've done it, since I've been a property owner. And I do it for a few reasons. I proudly pay my taxes. It's April 15th. I proudly pay my taxes. And when I hand over that check to a person locally who is going to be partially in charge of spending my money, I want to thank them. So I've done that. Oh my gosh, I bought my first house in 74. So I've been paying taxes personally for quite a few years here. This year I paid. They had us go across the street from the city county building to pay over there. For some reason, I don't know, they had us go over there. And there was quite a line behind me. And I thanked the person that took my money and let them know I really appreciate what they do with my money. And there was a hubbub behind me in that line of disagreement for the very first time. People grumbling and laughing at me for thanking people for doing their jobs. I've spoken in front of you before, and I have said thank you to all of you because I so appreciate people willing to do this job that you do. So I stood at the front of that line and turned around and spoke to everybody in that line and said exactly what I started with you. I proudly pay my taxes. And I do that because I appreciate how my money is spent. And I told the folks in that line to try to live someplace where your taxes are not well spent. Try living someplace like that. I'm asking you, don't make me into a liar. Don't change this school system that is an absolute stellar part of our community by disrespecting your teachers and other staff. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe we have one last written statement from Danielle Hairston Green. This says, wish to speak if possible. Is Danielle here? Okay, well, I will read the statement. Dear school board members, I'm speaking on behalf of Blacks for Political and Social Action in Dane County about Goal 3 of the MMSD Strategic Framework. African American children and youth will excel in school. This discussion is part of BPCADC's work to put a face on Black students in MMSD in response to students and families reporting feeling unseen by the district at last year's Black Parents Summit. In February, members of our group talked about F for financial, while in March, members discussed A for academic. Today, I'm here to talk about the C, communication, in our FACE framework as you continue to engage in the planning process for the 24-25 MMSD budget. Let me begin by applauding the board chair and members of the district administration for engaging with us this year in several instances of challenging yet constructive dialogue. This dialogue is particularly important given the literacy and other academic challenges faced by too many Black and Brown students in our community. Literacy is important, and educators as well as activists have increasingly promoted the right to read as a prominent civil rights issue. Working together from a place of shared interest could assist our students and families in changing the academic, employment, income, and wealth trajectories for a vital segment of our community. According to the 2022 data from the National Assessment of Education Progress, the state of Wisconsin had the largest educational disparities in the nation in 4th and 8th grade reading and math. Unfortunately, historical reviews of state assessment data suggest that racial, ethnic achievement and opportunity gaps in MMSD exceed the state's. Academic research by the National Center for Family and School Connections and others suggests the level of engagement between families and their schools has the potential to give an incredible boost to student achievement. Hence, this MMSD board should make a commitment to participate in the annual Black Parents Summit and quarterly follow-up meetings with BPSADC officials. This year's summit is on April 27th, and we look forward to school board members making a commitment to witness firsthand the humanity, talent, potential, and concerns of Black students, families, and community stakeholders. All right, that concludes all of our public input tonight. Board members, are you wanting to move on, or does anybody want to make a motion to recess for 5?
I'd like to move 5.
Okay, so Board Member Muldrow made a motion to recess for 5 minutes. Board Member Mosner Feltham second. All those in favor? All right, thank you. We will recess for 5 minutes.
Michelle, yeah. I'm gonna pass it to Michelle.
Oh, we are ready to resume the meeting. All right. We're going to move on to the minutes from March 18th. I move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular meeting dated March 18th, 2024.
Second, Maya.
Talia, your advisory vote. All right, I didn't hear you, but I saw you. It looked like you said aye. All those in favor, aye. All right, that passes 7-0. Board President announcements and reports. First, we're going to celebrate our students and staff. Congratulations to the 2024 Herb Cole Educational Foundation Award recipients, including 4 honorees from MMSD. Teacher fellowship awardees include Paulina Bravo Valenzuela, who teaches history and dual language immersion and pathway programs at La Follette High School. Her West High School English teacher. And Janie Custer, transition education program teacher leader. Student excellence and initiative scholars include Anvika Anyapu, a senior at Bell Phillips Memorial High School, and Anna Uristegui, I'm sorry for the mispronunciation, a senior at West High School.
Celebrating our schools. Congratulations to Val Phillips Memorial High School on achieving accreditation from the National Institute for Automotive Service of Excellence, or ASE, making them one of only 10 high schools in the state to achieve this goal. ASE certification demonstrates that students are trained to a level that meets or exceeds the industry standards needed to enter the automotive workforce. The community support of the 2020 referendum provided major renovations to Memorial's career and technical education spaces, making the program a competitive top-tier training center. Congratulations.
Thank you, Vice President Pearson. We'll now hand it over for superintendent announcements and reports.
Thank you, Board President Nichols. Tonight, I have 3 brief announcements related to how some of our staff and our students have been working in the school district. So the first thing I want to share is that East is an avid national demonstration school. They were recertified as an avid national demonstration school on Thursday, April 11th, and they continue to be one of the about 211 other avid national demonstration schools as a center of teaching and learning that serve as models for implementing avid and college and career readiness. So a special shout out to our amazing East staff, creating a culture of excellence and ensuring that students have resources, opportunities, and supports to be successful. Another highlight that I'd like to share is the work that our staff has done in the Prepare training. So staff from our Student and Staff Support Department had the opportunity to participate in a 2-day training provided by the Department of Justice in the Office of School Safety. The training was centered around evidence-based crisis curriculum developed by the National Association of School Psychologists. It helps staff train, develop, and strengthen their skills needed to provide immediate mental health crisis interventions to school communities who have been exposed to acute traumas. We're making continued efforts to provide the support to our school-based staff, and we want to be sure that our staff have the resources and the training they need to do their best work. We will also be holding additional training this summer around district-level response for our district security teams. Then lastly, a reminder about our Schools Make Madison Summit. This is put on by our Madison Public Schools Foundation, And this year, there will be a team of MMSD staff that will be presenting as a way to inform and educate our community around the unknown, sometimes realities that our schools face and the range of services that are in place to support students and families, including a range of services that this board will be providing in the 24-25 budget to schools and students as well. The event is Thursday, April 25th. It is wonderful, it is free, and our speakers include our Assistant Superintendent of Financial Services, Bob Soldner, as well as a panel of 6 of our own social workers, Laura Glob, Joanna Whitrock, Shannon Stevens, Kelly Semrau, Annie Yates, and Bridget Kremenet. Also, Tyrese, our Culinary and Development Manager, will be there. Josh Forehand and Natasha Sullivan will be there at the event. So something to put on your calendars and attend if you can in the morning. So that is all I have. Some good news, and thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you so much for the updates.
All right, and we have Southside Elementary naming process. So this process has restarted for Southside Elementary School, which has a temporary name. We want to thank our community's investment in our public schools during the referendum. And this new elementary school was constructed and connected to Badger Rock Middle School in 2020. This opened in the fall of 2023 and was temporarily called Southside Elementary. So the naming process began last winter and followed the board policy 6700. From February 7th to March 9th of 2023, the public had the opportunity to submit naming proposals, and 74 proposals were received. However, before a citizen's naming comment was determined, we decided to pause the work of naming a school due to superintendent transitions. So, with the board concluding their work hiring a new fabulous superintendent for the school district, the naming process is resuming. And there is another opportunity to submit naming proposals, and that will be available to the public from 8 a.m. on April 16th to 10 p.m. on April 30th. The 74 previously submitted proposals will be included and do not need to be resubmitted. And proposals can be submitted via the MMSD webpage, mmsd.org/Southside-naming. So that is the public announcement of the ability for our public to add additional names to the proposal process. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Next, we will do a report on the items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on April 1st, 2024, and I'll pass that over to Chair Muldrow.
Thank you, Board President Nichols. In our last work group, we focused on 3 policies. So the board's policy 3540, our graduation policy, our English language learner policy, policy 3550, and the board's policy on attendance, policy 431. We will revisit all 3 of these policies in our next work group meeting on May 6th and vote on these 3 policies at the end of the month of May at our regular board meeting.
Thank you. Next, we'll have a report on the items that proceeded through the operations work group held on April 8th, 2024, and I'll pass that to Board Member Castro.
Thank you.
There.
Thank you. At our operations work group meeting, we received a transportation update and an opportunity to ask questions about changes for next year. We received community feedback on district finances. We discussed the sustainability resolution, and then we dived into the 24-25 preliminary budget. And finally, we reviewed Board of Education, the policies related to fees and unpaid meals. Next month in May, on May 13th, I believe. Yep. We will receive the final draft of the long-range facilities plan, receive an facilities construction update, and then start to develop referendum wording questions. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. There were no action items that proceeded through the instruction work group. And one action item that did proceed through the operations work group, which is item 9.1 on our agenda, the MMSD sustainability goal for zero greenhouse gas emissions. So board members, there are 3 versions of the resolution in board docs. One of the resolutions, which is called Resolution 40, has the goal tied to a 100% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2040. Resolution 45 gets us to 100% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2045. And Resolution 50 gets us to 100% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. So I'd be interested in hearing if there is a motion that a board member would like to make for one of the resolutions. If we can second it, then we can open up discussion before we decide to take any said vote. Board Member Vandermeer,
Yes, I'll make a motion for option 2.
is that Resolution 45?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Do you want to, well, let's open it up for discussion. Is there any discussion on Resolution 45, either in support or in opposition? Board Member Muldrow?
I'm willing to vote in support of this resolution. I think that we need to couple this resolution with sound policy related to our efforts to protect the environment. I want to recognize and appreciate the young people who have come forward meeting after meeting to insist that we acknowledge the urgency of climate catastrophe and that we commit to the board's original goal made in 2019. I am hoping in voting in favor of this resolution that we will move beyond the end date and start having conversations about the start date, and that we will inspire our community with our commitment to sustainability and the work that we need to do in order to achieve that sustainability. The one thing that I want to emphasize in terms of the difference between this resolution and our original resolution is the commitment to renewable energy and the cost savings implications of renewable energy. And so I think in the long run, we need to work pretty hard to realize our relationship to renewable energy and to embed that in, either policy or additional resolutions addressing this issue. I want to thank my fellow board members for working on this consistently. And I want to ask one question. We were presented with multiple options. None of them were the end goal at 2045. Part of what shaped those options was the relationship this goal would have to school closure, in terms of what it would look like to replace HVAC. So we were told if we chose 2050, we would be closing 2 schools a year. If we chose 2040, we would be closing 3 schools a year. I am curious where we are at in terms of choosing to have this work done by 2045. What are the implications in terms of our ability to do that and maintain the function of our schools while doing it?
Yeah. Good evening. That's an excellent question. I think the implementation of any of the resolutions needs to be further studied as part of our long-range plan in terms of facilities that we talked about needing a couple of pieces yet. mainly our 20-year student enrollment projections that will come in at the end of this year. You are correct that the current estimates in terms of 2040 and 2050 was the need to, I won't use the phrase close, it's moving student populations from a building to an alternate location as the work is done at that, with the intention, obviously, of then moving the populations back to either the renovated or new facility that's made. It would be 2 for 2050 or 3 for the 2040. I think the limiting factor from the staff's perspective is under our current staffing patterns and our current work on the 2020 referendum, we can only manage about 2 buildings a year in terms of renovating or building new. So I think going to 2045 is a good compromise. And we'd have time to implement it, potentially expanding our list of contractors to do the work to be able to manage more than 2 a year. But we would definitely need to be spending more time with design engineers and our consultants in developing the actual implementation later this fall and winter.
Thank you so much for speaking to that. My hope is that we create marks to check in on this work regularly, given kind of the fact that we've been committed to this for 5 years and we're not getting as far as I think we would like to. And I think we have to be understanding that the pandemic had a tremendous impact on our ability to achieve this work. The last thing I want to say is I don't think that we can afford to treat the existential threat of climate change like an expensive inconvenience. I think that we have to treat this work like necessary in order to protect the future of our young people. And I think that this resolution is a step in the right direction.
Agreed. I would add one thing in terms of the good work the board has done in terms of actually getting measurements and be able to report back regularly. As part of the equity projects that were already approved by the board for 24-25, a sustainability manager position was created. And we'll, of course, begin recruitment as soon as we can at the start of the next school year to fill that position, whose responsibility would be obviously to track and monitor and help plan and report back. So we're already begun the work.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess before we take a vote, I would also like to just add that I'm also in support of 2045 for several reasons. One is I feel like much of the public comment that we've heard over the last couple months, particularly from students, has been around staying to the 2040 goal and not shying away and extending it too far out. And I hear that. And I also feel like because the original resolution was written in 2019 and then we went through a pandemic, we kind of lost some of the initial years of really being able to kind of move this at an accelerated pace. So I believe this is kind of like a reset with this resolution rewrite, and that the 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years that we had slower movement from 2019 kind of builds into, in my opinion, kind of like a newer runway, getting us to 2045. I also feel like the way that the resolution has been rewritten, it is clear that we are taking a stand and a commitment to increase our energy efficiency in our district buildings and to increase the use of non-fossil energy sources. And I feel like there's a great reference in here to the 2024 long-range facility plan as being kind of another reset for us, something that we haven't had more recently, that will actually get us some information in there around our plans for energy efficiency, greenhouse gas emission reduction, and non-fossil energy projects. And so I just appreciate the fact that we've spent several work groups really talking about our commitment to sustainability, and also wanting to try to make this resolution something we can actually implement, like with action and to see real progress. And so I think 2045 kind of as I'm looking at this as like an opportunity to kind of reset the beginning of when this resolution can really have some implementation. And so that's why I would be in support of it. Talia.
Thank you. So I was originally planning tonight to speak firmly in favor of the 2040 resolution, and I still believe strongly that we should prioritize the most efficient timeline in light of what has been already said tonight. I'd like to emphasize that if the board ultimately decides the 2040 goal is not feasible and decides to push it back to 2045, it's very essential that we have a concrete plan for how to achieve this goal and a commitment that this plan has enough flexibility to guarantee completion by 2045. We can't afford to continue to push back these critical commitments to students. I've heard directly from various student groups across the district that the timeline for implementing climate goals, while absolutely critical, is slightly less important to them than actually formulating a commitment and a concrete plan to achieve these goals. So it's important that we don't set a precedent that the timeline can continue to be pushed back. So the board just must prioritize making a concrete commitment to reducing emissions. And I want to also emphasize that setting the goal to 2045 is not a true compromise without allocating something for the cause of sustainability. So whether that takes the form of making concrete policy decisions rapidly that ensure we'll complete this goal by 2045, or even amending this specific resolution to read commitment instead of goal, or discussing a 20-year referendum, something we need to do to ensure that these goals will be completed and that we're maintaining a commitment to students in the district, because this is so important for students' future in Madison and all around the globe.
Thank you, Talia. Board Member Castro.
Thank you. I support 45, and in addition to everything that's been said, I think that we should also come back to this resolution and include things like resiliency in here as well. There's been updated thinking on how we navigate on what's going to happen in the next few decades. And so just updating our thinking in that regard will be important, but thank you.
Any further discussion? Oh, I'll go with Board Member Mosner-Feltham and come back to Board Member Muldrow.
Thank you. And thank you, Talia. Yeah, my mic's on, I think. I hope so. I'm not 100% sure on the process by which a resolution would be amended per Talia's suggestion, but I would love to hear from my board colleagues what that process would be like to shift the word establishes the goal to establishes the commitment.
What you, if I may, I was just going to explain the process.
Okay, wait, look, so Talia, were you actually talking about replacing language tonight?
I'm not sure if that's within my capacity, but I think it would be a very strong statement to amend the language from goal to commitment.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
What you would do is to say that you would like to put an amendment on the floor. You then state what you would like to say, and then you have to ask for a second. Once you get, if you get a second, then they read it and they call for discussion and then call for a vote on it. If it gets 4 votes, then it passes. Doesn't get 4 votes, then the amendment is dead and we go back to the original motion as is. Did I miss anything?
I would like to make a motion to amend the resolution to replace the word goal commitment.
Second, Nikki Vandermeer.
Okay, so just to be clear, that would be on each of the resolutions, because right now I haven't called for us to vote on any of them. So we would be replacing the word goal with commitment on resolution for 40, 45, or 50? I just want to make sure. Okay. I have.
To put a finer point on the proposed amendment, um, to modify the resolution so that the second and third use of the word goal be replaced by commitment, such that each resolution would read, be it further resolved that the administration would continue to prioritize and devote staff time and resources to develop and implement a sustainability plan to meet this commitment. And then be it further resolved that the district board establishes the commitment of reducing greenhouse gas emissions in all district operations, followed by the specifics and the end year. That could Yes.
Was when our goal was for renewable energy, we were told that we're about 8% of the way there already. Where are we in terms of greenhouse emissions right now? What is our start point as of today? Okay, I think that that is complicated in terms of achieving this goal. The other thing I want to say is that I think we need to be mindful of the fact that we're not talking about producing results related to this until 2035, which is about 11 years from now. And I think in the meantime, we need to be at 25% reduction in admission by 2030, and we need to be 12.5% by 2027 in order to achieve our goal. And I do think that we need to know where we're at right now. So if we're at 8%, great. If we're already at 12% in terms of reduction since we originally started this work, I think it's important to acknowledge that. That's it for me. No. No.
All right, so we have an amendment that has been seconded on the floor to replace the use of the word goal 2 times in the resolution with the word commitment. Is there any other discussion on that? Okay, so Talia, your advisory vote,
Aye.
okay? All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, great. Now that we have amended the resolution, the way, what was that?
You read the amended after that.
Yeah, I kind of already read it on the front end, but what I need to do now is, since there are 3 resolutions, we're gonna just do, I'm gonna get your, I vote in support of each resolution as I call it. So just remember, you can only vote for one of the proposed resolutions. So we'll start with resolution 40 with the goal of 2040. All in favor of resolution 40, say aye. Talia, your advisory vote
Aye.
on the 40. Okay. All in favor of resolution 45 with the goal of 2045, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then, since that was 7-0, then there would be none in favor of resolution 50, which is the 2050 goal. All right. So, the renewable energy resolution 45 is adopted. Thank you. Your hand is up? Okay. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. I move that the Board of Education adopt and approve all of the motions set forth in Section 10 of the electronic agenda prepared for the April 15th, 2024 regular school board meeting exactly as said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his, her, or their affirmative vote on each of the motions consolidated, hereby subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board.
Second, Maya.
Are there any separations? All right, all those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, let me go with Talia first. Talia, your advisory vote.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, passes 7-0. There is, all right, we will now go to other reports to the board because we have no other business items under section 11. For the City County Schools Collaborative Committee, we held our meeting on April 3rd. We used that time as a follow-up discussion on the family shelter wait list, doubled up families and need for overflow shelter. And we will be meeting again on May 8th. Our tentative agenda for May 8th is to have the Foundation for Madison Public Schools come to present to the committee. And we're hoping to bring some additional follow-up items related to doubled up families back to the committee. Student Senate.
Thanks. Over the past few meetings, we've been beginning the leadership election process for next year, as well as finalizing details for our registration drives at all of the high schools in the upcoming month.
Thank you. All right, well, let's move to the Madison School and Community Recreation Advisory Committee.
For sure. We had our last meeting on March 20th, where we heard a great presentation from MSCR Arts and Fitness.
Spring programming is underway in the community and in schools. MSCR staff are in full swing, planning for summer training and programming. And MSCR is a great place to work. MSCR and Madison Parks are hosting a joint hiring fair on Wednesday, April 17th at the MSCR and Parks Building on Lakeside Street with on-site application help and on-site interviews. I'll remind folks that MSCR has lots of summer jobs for young people. And I would encourage you to check out the hiring fair on April 17th.
Policy Committee.
Since we have already started our policy work, there are no reports currently for policy committee. Thank you.
All right, and I know our Board Governance Committee, we don't have anything to report for this month. So under other business, we will now move on to the resolution authorizing the transfer of funds, the establishment of an escrow account with respect to and the defeasance of certain of the general obligation school building and facility improvement bonds, Series 2023, dated June 12th, 2023. So I move that the Board of Education approve the transfer of $6,955,000 to establish an escrow account to defease a portion of the general obligation school building and facility improvement bonds, Series 2023.
Second, Maya.
Any discussion? Talia, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. 7-0. All right, we're now moving on to four-year-old kindergarten intergovernmental agreement. Whereas the Madison Metropolitan School District has established four-year-old kindergarten, 4K, programs to serve age-eligible students, and whereas the MMSD recognizes the potential educational benefits of providing families with options for four-year-old programs, as authorized by the Department of Public Instruction to meet the needs of students eligible to participate in 4K programs. It is hereby resolved that pursuant to Section 66.0301 of the Wisconsin statutes, the school board of the Madison Metropolitan School District agree to establish and maintain on a cooperative basis 4K programs as set forth in the agreement prepared for the April 15th, 2024 regular meeting. Yes. Thank you, Board Member Vandermeulen. Any discussion? All right, Talia, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, those opposed? Those abstaining? All right, one abstain. All right, 14.3. Am I doing something with this one? No. Thank you. Well, I believe that concludes all of our business. So who'd like to make a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Board Member Vandermeulen. Thank you, Vice President Pearson. All those in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Talia?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, meeting